afternoon. We're here in the bee yard, and I'm just going to share with you some things that we picked today from the garden. So it's really hot today, so we didn't pick a lot. We're not doing a lot, but there were some things that we did pick. So we did pick a little bit more corn. So the way we put up our corn for winter is we just shuck it and then we just put it in freezer bags and we freeze it on the cob. That's the way our kids like corn, is corn on the cob. So we don't do a lot as far as preparing it besides taking it off of, shucking it and then putting it in the freezer bag. So you can corn if you want. I think that's a sticky mess. I don't can corn anymore. So you can take it off of the cob to freeze it, but that's a lot of work. So you could do it, but we don't do that anymore. All we do is take off the shucks off, break off the tip and some of the silk here, and then we put it in the freezer bag. Our kids, like I said, like it better this way, and it's a lot easier and quicker to freeze that way. Now this kind of corn is kind of whitish. That is called Silver Queen corn. It's really delicious. We also, our first pickings of corn were more yellow. That was ambrosia corn, and it's delicious too. So, and some of the ears are big, some are little, but they're still all good corn. And so when it looks like this, the reason that we break off the tip is because some cobs are like this. So this has corn, but then up here not so much. So you won't have to break the tip off if you don't want to, but if you do break it off, see, now it looks like a full ear of corn. So we don't have very much of it to do. And what we'll do with the shucks of corn is give it to the pigs, probably. The pigs like to eat them. And they definitely eat the tips of the corn. They really will like that. So then after this corn, well, I'll show you right here on the table this cabbage. I won't show you when we cut it up because there's a lot of it, but those are really some big cabbage this year. So what we're going to do with it, we already have some cabbage left over last year in the freezer to make coleslaw. So we're not going to freeze any this year, but we are going to make sauerkraut again, which we did do last year and it came out really well. So go back to my videos, type it in, search it. If you want to see us making the homemade sauerkraut in the bucket, then you can see us doing that. But I'm not going to show you that this year because it's the same exact thing as I did last year. So if you want to see it, you just look it up in my channel, okay? But so we're going to chop all that up here in the house. We're going to take it in the house because, like I said, it's really hot out and really humid. So I don't want to be out here for much longer. But we're going to take that in the house. We'll chop that up and we'll put it in the bucket for the beginnings of sauerkraut. And then we have in this bucket down here, green beans. That'll be a tomorrow job. The kids will break them and then we'll can them outside because it's going to be hot again tomorrow. Never ever run the canner in the house in the summer when it's 90 something degrees out. It will make your house very, very hot. So gratefully we have our outdoor cooker that we can do that outside. And then in this last basket right here is another picking of cucumbers for pickles. I really think this will be our last picking of the cucumbers for the pickles because we have a whole refrigerator in the barn filled with pickles. So I really feel like we have a lot, and plus we're running out of room to put them. I suppose you should never say never because I don't know what the cucumbers are going to do. So of course we don't have to pick them, or we can just eat them fresh, which we have been doing that a lot too. So we'll just have to see what happens, but I don't plan on it. Let's put it that way. I don't plan on it. Even though, you know, normally plans don't really come. When you plan something, mostly it doesn't work out the way that you planned it, which is okay. Especially when it comes to everything that you're doing, right? If it doesn't come out that way, then you should just be able to kind of be a little bit flexible and, you know, understand that God is having, you know, I believe that God is pointing you in a different way, a different direction when things like that happen. And we just have to be able to be listening and paying attention and not getting upset about it and just being able to kind of go with it, as long as it's not bad, you know, of course. But then, yeah, this was kind of like a small ear of corn, because it's like kind of little, but that should still be okay. But yeah, so I think that, and also especially when here where I live and on our farm in my life, that happens a lot. God will open doors, He'll close doors, but He always has a plan. We don't know the plan, but we don't need to know the plan, right? We just have to keep doing what He wants us to do, which would be being obedient to Him, submitting everything to Him, meaning our whole selves, our hearts, our minds, our bodies, our souls, everything that we can possibly do. And then, of course, physically, stuff like, He has to be ahead of our finance, and the first person in the finances, in our lives, in our homes. Anything that you do, put Him first. Seek His kingdom first. And then He will, everything else will fall into place. It'll be His will. And you want to live in God's will. That's a good place to live. It's a good place to live. And, a thing that the other day God was telling me, and He's told me this before, but He's been telling this to me a lot lately, which means He's definitely preparing me for something. He's been telling me that, you know what? You don't have to be perfect. He's not looking for perfection. He doesn't want you to have it all together. He doesn't want you to have it all figured out. He doesn't want me to do that. He wants me to just keep being obedient to Him, just keep working to build His kingdom. Taking the things He blessed me and my family with in order to bless others, the lost, the needy, the people who need to be reached, the less fortunate, things like that. He wants us to take our blessings from Him and bless them. And then He'll bless more so we can help more, right? That is His economy. That's God's plan. And so that's what He wants. He doesn't want us to have it perfect. He doesn't want us to be the best at it. He doesn't want anything like that. Or He doesn't even want us to be successful, meaning, in the world's view of success. And then He just requires faithfulness, that when we mess up, because we will, I do, daily, everybody does daily, at some point in time. And so all He wants us to do is turn back to Him. When we have messed up, we need to recognize it, or we need to turn back to Him and say, you know what, God, I'm sorry. I did it again. Whatever it is, please forgive me. Put me back on the right path. And the wonderful thing with God is He does not make you go backwards. He lets you pick up after you messed up. He puts you right back on the same path. His path. But He doesn't push you back, however much. Like the world would say, you always take steps back when you mess up in the world. But in His way, it's not that way. So that's what's so comforting to know, that is that even if you mess up, and even if you make a bad decision, you make a bad choice, just recognize it. Just recognize it, tell Him about it, and he will turn you and be intentional about turning away from it. So then you can go on his way. His way is this way. Turn away from this way, which is not his way, and go on his way. And he just wants us to follow him. That's another thing that he has told me a lot this past couple weeks. Is he says, follow me. Follow me. Don't follow other people. Don't follow things advice that people give you necessarily. Just look to him. He's the only one that I need to follow. And so that is it helps you get focused on him. So there's a lot of things that's been happening for me lately that keeps telling me to focus on him. That's what I need to focus on. Don't focus on all the clutter. Don't focus on all the stuff. Just focus on him. Focus on Jesus and what he did on the cross, which paid the debt for all of us, right? For every bad thing, your mental state too. He paid for that, so we don't have to have clutter in our minds. I have that a lot, but I am doing my best to let him put order. And something I learned too recently, actually, that order, the word order, O-R is the first two letters. Well, or in Hebrew means shine. And that means, because when God looks upon us and he shines upon us the blessings and his mercy and his grace, he's bringing order to us. So when he looks upon us, he is shining upon us and he's bringing us order. So for me, that helps me, because that makes me think, oh, you know what? He takes away the clutter, and he is focusing me. He's drawing me closer to him by focusing my mind on him. And so intentionally, we focus on him. What he's done will bring order to our minds. So that's the things that I have been learning, and he's been telling me, and we have been talking about. Okay, so sorry about that little break, but so now I'm back. So anyways, yeah, so that's been a really big thing for me. Actually, it's been he's been working with me. God has been he's been making me and shaping me and molding me, redoing, he does it all the time, but focusing, this is what he has been really talking to me about for probably since the end of May. And this is here the end of July. So this has been a big thing. And it's because he's preparing me for something, and for my family, something really, really wonderful as far as reaching out for others and for building his kingdom, helping that. I feel that deeply. I just feel that. And he has assured me, and he has reassured me, and he has assured me again, and he has reassured me again. He does that all the time, because naturally, we get doubtful, right? People get doubtful. I get doubtful. Things happen, people say stuff, people act a different way, and it makes you're like, oh, what's going on, right? It's like, that's not, like I said about the plans, right? That's not the plan. I didn't plan it that way, God. But God's like, it's all right, you don't have to plan it. See, that's the wonderful thing. That's one thing that I really love about God. One of the things I love a lot, but is that he already has it planned out. So I don't have to plan it out. I just have to follow him. Let us be the little ducklings, and let them be the big duck, and we will just follow him. Follow him, do what he says. Just act like him. Be more like him. The Holy Spirit makes us more like him if we allow him. If we had to stop fighting it, though. So that's why submitting is part of it, right? That's the big part. And I think some people might have a hard time with that. At some points, I have a hard time with that, right? Like I said, he's not expecting perfection. He just wants our hearts to be moldable. Don't harden your heart so much that you're like, nope, I'm doing it my way. I'm not doing it your way. Like, that doesn't sound right. It was not my plan. Like, I didn't plan that, so I'm not going to do it. Like, don't do that, right? That is not the right way. That is a trap. The enemy, he's really good. He sets them all over the place. You turn that way, there's a trap. Everywhere there's a trap, but there's one way. one way, and that is the one that's Jesus's way. And he's the one. So that's why I say focus on that. He wants us to focus on him. He will do that for us. And like I said, he has done that for me deeply and really like on that one topic. More in my whole Christian walk that in my life since I've known Jesus. Since the end of May until now. That has been his biggest thing, I feel, for me. And he's just, because there's problems and there's ups and downs and there's, it's not like I said, not perfection, right? Which it's not what he's looking for. And we shouldn't look for that either, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is that we should not we're not trying to be perfect. We shouldn't expect other people to be perfect because there is no such thing as perfection unless it is Jesus, and he will come back, but he's not back yet. So just have to stay focused. There's one thing and only one thing to stay focused on, which is Jesus and the cross and what he did, what he is doing in our lives today, and what he will do, which he has told us that he will do, which will happen. It just hasn't happened yet. We need to wait for that. But as long as we do that, then you know what? Everything else is not as important, and it will all fall into place because he is the one who brings the order. He is the number one person who brings the order and the calmness and the peace. You want to live in that. That's where you want to live. For me, that's definitely where I want to live. I mean, you can, and not just at your prayer time either, or at church on Sundays. This is a daily thing. So you can live in his peace and his calmness and his order daily. In your own house, wherever you live. Go to work, you go to wherever you're going. You can live in that daily. You just have to, every morning, say, God, all right, I'm ready. Here I am. Again, every morning, submitting to you. Do with me as you wish, and I want that. I choose me, right? Because he's always like, who shall I send, right? Who's ready? Who's ready to fight this? And who's ready to go to battle with me? We will win it. But he wants us. He's not going to make us. He never makes us listen to him. He never makes us do these things. He wants us to be intentional and say, yes, we don't want the control. You have the control, which is very reassuring and very wonderful. And I'm very thankful for that. And so this is a really big thing, and I'm really excited to see what he has in store for me and my family. I just feel it deep down that it's something going to be something that we never could even imagine. Because like I talked to my husband about, what our life, what we have now, a long time ago, before we ever had kids and before we ever lived here, we would talk about what, at that time, I didn't know Jesus really at that time, but we talked a lot about, like, well, what do we want? Like, what are our goals? Like, what would be like a great, like, a big thing? Like, and so we would talk about, owning our own farm, having kids, being comfortable, financially, and things like that. And those were like our top 3 things, right, on our list. And now looking at that, is that he has blessed us tenfold or even more with that. I mean, it's amazing, right? I mean, we do own our own farm, more so than when we ever would have imagined, and we have 3 kids, not just one, we have 3 kids, and that is a story for another day, which I will share with you. And then, we are comfortable, of course, financially, gratefully because of him, but only because of him, and and the things that he has put into place because it's been his will. But so we're like, it's amazing to live in that peace and that and his order, and he has it. And so looking back at saying that to my husband, like, that's what we wanted, like that's what we had been working for. But look what he did with it, right? And so that's why I'm so excited. But back then, because I didn't know Jesus at that time, and so we just thought we were just, planning it just for us, and just like, okay, this is what we want, right? But now it takes on a whole new meaning once you know Jesus. And that's what he wants, right? Because now we're like, okay, the reason he had us do all this, like one of my biggest things that I love to do, and what I feel is one of my biggest callings, is feeding people, right? So that's like the biggest thing here on our farm, is raising food, vegetables, fruit, for other people, right? For them to, I mean, my family too, but you know what I mean. I mean, for the, you know, like when we raise hogs and stuff for a homeless shelter and stuff, but that's like, it's a door that he opened that was just never even imaginable, right? So it's just great, and he's wonderful, and he's the only one that could do this, and he does it, and I just love the order that he brings to my mind when I focus. He kind of like reels you in, you know, he reels you in. He's like, here you go, this is what all you have to worry about. You don't have to worry about this, and you know, there's a whole, you know, I mean, there's a whole realm of things I could talk about with this topic, but I will not do that today. Anyway, so just thank you for watching, and I hope that I have God has, his light has shone through me to you today, to be helpful and loving and encouraging, and I hope that you guys have a blessed day. Bye.